Hey YouTube, welcome back to Dwayne's World. So it's finally here, part 2 of the season finale. Well, you know what we're going to do today, right? Well, you should. We're going to be doing our scalp and overseeding. But everything may not go to plan. You want to find out what I mean? You better stay tuned. Alright guys, so welcome back to Season 2, Episode 38 here on Dwayne's World. It's just part 2 of our season finale. And I'm very excited because, as you guys know, we will be scalping the backyard as well as throwing down our perennial rye. And I'm very excited to see how well this overseeding project is going to come out. Alright, so we've got a lot of mowing to do. So with that, let's go ahead and start up the Trucut. Alright guys, I apologize about the bad audio here. So it's definitely coming off. However, what I'm having a difficulty with is just again how often I have to empty the grass catcher. So I am very tempted to do what I did again last time, where I'm just going to go ahead and mow, and then I'm going to use my rotary mower to pick up the clippings. One of the things I'm going to do, I think, just to make this a little bit easier and more efficient, is I think I'm going to stop using the grass catcher and just leave the clippings on the lawn and then come back with the rotary mower. And I think that's gonna make it easier for me to be able to get through this scalp. It's just the lawn is so thick and there's so much grass coming off. I think it'll definitely be a better play. It'll actually be more efficient, even though it will take me more passes. So with that, let's go ahead and get back to the mowing. All right guys, apologize about the bad audio here. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty upset. Oh, you know, part of my lawn, and I'll go ahead and turn the camera around just so you guys can see here. All right, so back by my son's playhouse here, kind of show you guys, all along the back of that playhouse and even up to underneath the slide there is flooded. Yeah, it's all flooded. Well, Dwayne, did you have rain? Like, what caused it to be flooded? Well, what happens when the neighbor leaves the garden hose on all night. So that part of my lawn is all flooded out, and I'm not going to be able to scalp it right now until it all dries out. Not gonna lie, not the way I wanted to start this overseeding project, because that's definitely going to delay it. You know what I'll probably do is I probably won't overseed today. I'll try to do most of the scalp and then maybe come back out tomorrow and go ahead and see if I could scalp down just that area. Hopefully it dries out enough. We don't have any rain in the forecast, so it should not get any more wet. But, it's frustrating. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get back to the mow here. All right, so let me go ahead and show you guys what it's currently looking like. Yeah. Let me go ahead and turn it around. You guys can see there, a lot of clippings on the lawn, but that's okay. The rotary mower is going to take care of it. Have faith, have faith. It's going to work out. I know I was a little bit upset about the flooding over there. Yeah, I'm still upset. But we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. It's going to work out. So with that, let's get back to the boat. Oh, guys, just one of those days, I guess. You know, you plant it, you buy the seed at the right time, you plan to scalp at the right time, and then the curveball is thrown. Never fails. But let's go ahead, take a look here at the lawn. Oh, looks like I got a vegetable garden that I'm starting. Let me go turn around. All right, so as you guys can see here, quite a bit to still clean up. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab the rotary mower here. We'll see how well it does. You know, this is a different way of scalping. I haven't scalped like this in the past, but I think it's gonna work out a little bit better. It probably puts a little bit more work on the machines than it does myself, which is why they're there. So it didn't help also too that there was a lot of dew on the lawn, so the clippings are wet. You know, I think once I get it down to where, you know, a lot of that moisture's gone, it's going to be a little bit easier to get through. So again, this is 5/8 of an inch. We're going to go ahead and break out the rotary mower and clean up this pass, and we'll come back again for our 1/2 inch cut. All right, guys, so finish with the cleanup pass. Let's go ahead and take a look here what it looks like before we get on to the 1/2 inch mow. Not too bad, not too bad. The Honda HRX absolutely did its job. Went ahead and cleaned up a lot of the clippings, so I think this is going to work out. This might be my new scalping strategy going forward, just because of the fact that, you know, again, it's not necessarily the fault of a real mower, it's just the way it's designed. And as I mentioned before in the past, the rotary mower acts as a vacuum, so you probably are picking up even more clippings than you would have just using the grass catcher. So with that, let's go ahead and cut a 1/2 inch. You know, this has to be the thickest my Bermuda lawn has ever been. It's just, even though the Trucut is just an absolute beast, there's still so much grass that still has to come off. I'm gonna have to take it down to the lowest setting. I think that's the only way I'm gonna be able to break through this canopy, just to be able to open it up enough to allow that grass seed to fall. But let's go ahead and take a look here and see what it looks like. Yeah. Let me go ahead and turn it around. There's a lot of clippings on the lawn. All right, as you guys can see here, definitely a lot of cleanup to do, but there's still so much green. And that scares me because of the fact that I still need to drop it down even lower to be able to get to a height of cut that I feel comfortable with just throwing grass seed down. Now, I don't know. I may not even technically need to take it down further, but There's still so much green in the Bermuda. I do not want it to choke out the perennial grass seed, which it could do, just because of the fact that the temperatures are still warm. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and do the rotary pass, but I'm not gonna put that on video for you guys. I'll just show you what it looks like after I clean it up. All right, guys, I gotta tell you, this scalp was not fun. This is actually the next day. I didn't even put it all on video. Trucut, I had cutting about a ½ an inch. But then I think it needs a clutch adjustment now. So sorry, Joel. Joel's my buddy that actually lent me the Trucut. You know, I've also featured before here on Dwayne's World, but yeah, it's probably, you know, hopefully I didn't blow the clutch. But it's definitely having a hard time spinning the reel anytime you're getting down below a ½ an inch, or even in some cases just at a ½ an inch. So what I decided to do is I pulled out my California trimmer, pulled out my McLean, pulled them all out. I just tried to continue to scalp, but I still couldn't get all the green off. Oh, this Bermuda is so thick this year. And I think it's just because of the fact that in the last 2 years now, I've used PGR, and PGR really thickens up that turf. This most recent growing season, I did not use PGR on my front lawn, and I think that's why it went so much easier. But the good news is today, the area by my son's playhouse dried out, so I was able to scalp that. Then I rotary mowed again, cleaned it all up, used the leaf blower. But then even my leaf blower, my gas powered leaf blower, broken fuel line. So I gotta tell you, this particular scalp has definitely been one of the most difficult I've ever done. So with that, let me go ahead and show you guys the lawn here. Hopefully it's low enough to be able to put out the perennial ryegrass. All right, guys, so here we are. You know, you can see a lot of the green is still here, but again, it's about as low as it's going to go. You know, when it comes to overseeding, the more research I do, it actually says it's not necessarily a good idea to bring it all down to dirt. And the reason why that is you do want to leave the crown of the actual Bermuda turf, and that's going to help you get recovery in the springtime. Whenever you're taking it all the way down to dirt, it can negatively affect your Bermuda's ability to green up. So hopefully, I think, you know, I'm probably in a pretty good place here. You know, some of the areas are definitely a little thinner than some of the other thicker areas, which is more my concern. All right, so now let me just kind of take you over here to where my son's playhouse was, where it definitely flooded out yesterday. Definitely looking a lot better today. I was able to get back here, you know, really be able to thin out this turf back here. You know, there's a lot of bare spots here just because of the amount of shade that I get during the summertime. This is where the perennial ryegrass is going to really excel in this back area here. But again, it definitely was a chore. I don't know, something I may not consider doing next year just because of how tough it was this year. So with that, let's go ahead and throw down the grass seed. All right, guys, so let me just jump in here on the actual scalp. This scalp did not go the way I actually wanted. You know, it did not cut off all of the green, which I'm really worried about. Now, I don't know how great of a result I'm going to get, meaning I don't know if the seed is getting down to the soil deep enough to really be able to start germinating. I'm not sure if the Bermuda canopy is going to be too much for the perennial rye, or it's not going to be able to get enough sunlight. So there's a lot of different factors that are really concerning me, and only time will tell. I won't say that the Overseeding Project is a failure by any means. Heck, if I had to, I'll re-scalp again and throw down more perennial rye. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, and I don't want to necessarily go there just yet because it's a lot of work if I were to choose to do that. Now, what I did do, though, is I reached out to Lee over at Real Rollers, and Lee had actually provided some really good insight into why he believed I was running into some of the issues that I did. He explained that there could be a couple of reasons why I'm experiencing the problems that I was. One of which I think a lot of people take for granted is whether or not your reel is sharp. Now, one of the things that I didn't do before I started using the Trucut was testing to see if it was cutting paper. Now, again, it is a good practice and something you should be doing anytime you're reel mowing. The reason why I chose not to at the time I did my scalp, and I figured, if the blade is kind of dull, I'm going to go ahead and do a scalp anyway, and we'll go ahead and sharpen it afterwards. But it makes sense if you think about it, because if the blade isn't sharp, it's going to have a much harder time cutting through the actual turf, and I think that was probably the reason why I had such a difficult time. The other thing it could be that it needs a slight clutch adjustment or a replacement of the clutch disc if we determine after sharpening that we still have the same problems. Now, it's going to require us to probably wait to the next scalp job before we actually realize what the true problem was, but at the same time, at least I have a little bit better insight that I wanted to pass along to you guys. All right, so for those of you that may have missed it in my first video when overseeding my front lawn, this is the same grass seed I'm going to go ahead and use now on my backyard. Now again, the reason why I chose this was actually a recommendation from a friend of a friend. Now, you may remember my buddy Joel. He's the one who allowed me to borrow the Trucut. He actually has a buddy named Andrew, and Andrew, thank you for this recommendation. Andrew is also a subscriber and viewer of mine because we both live in the same city and we're both lawn enthusiasts. And he had actually used this perennial grass seed for the last couple years and says it works really, really well. It's practically weed-free, so no POA in it, and it germinates very, very quickly, which I absolutely love. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Again, I'm probably going to go at the rate of about 12 to 15 pounds per thousand. So in my backyard, I'll probably be about 75 to 80 pounds. I picked up 2 bags of this, 50 pounds a piece. It absolutely should be able to cover my backyard, as well as leave me a little bit extra just in case I do have to do any spot treatments. So with that, let me go ahead and load up the Scott's Classic Drop Seed Spreader. I may also be using my Anderson's SR2000 spreader, just because I think it's going to help make it go a whole lot faster. All right, so the setting I have it on here is 16. When I did my front yard, that was the last setting that I left it on. Worked out really well, put it out at a really good rate. I think that's what I'm going to stick with, if not a little bit higher. Now what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to go ahead and do all of my perimeter first, and then I'll come back and hit the middle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my Anderson spreader and kind of go throughout the entire lawn. I think that's going to be the better way to go. You know, I'll probably come back with the Scott spreader just to make sure I have even distribution. But I think the Anderson spreader is going to work out really, really well. Alright, so all that's left now is to go ahead and water it in. I'm just going to do a quick cycle here, 3 minutes a zone, help that seed get down to the soil, and then keep it moist by watering every couple hours. Alright guys, so it's probably been about 6 or 7 days since I threw down a perennial rye grass seed, and I was actually extremely concerned with how well it will actually come out because of the fact that I was not able to bring down the Trucut as far as I would have liked. But we definitely have some green up, and with that, let me go ahead and turn the camera around and give you guys a better view of some of that perennial rye that's starting to peek through. You can see in this area right here, I got a lot of germination, as you guys can see there. You know, even when I'm kind of coming down to the turf, you can absolutely see where it has been scalped, but I am starting to see a lot of little perennial rye popping up through the actual canopy, which is absolutely great. Now, there still is quite a bit of Bermuda here that it actually has come back a little bit just because of the fact that we are still in some pretty warm temperatures. However, I think I'm very optimistic now that I think it's going to work out in the end. Again, I would have wished that the Bermuda was cut down a little bit further, but as you guys can see here, there is definitely quite a bit of germination. The taller grass is really where the perennial rye is starting to come through here. But as you guys can see here, this back area is definitely filling in nice. You know, did have a little bit of washout in some of the areas. I think we're going to be able to fix it. And I think overall, it's going to look really good once I just give it a little more time. All right, guys, so kind of truth be told here, I was really worried about this backyard project. You know, after I did the scalp, I really thought, you know what? I didn't cut low enough. Maybe I should rescalp. Maybe I should go buy more grass seed, kind of start all over again. But, you know, the more research I did, kind of decided, you know what? Let me just give it a little more time. I think right now I'm still only about a week out, and I'm getting pretty good germination with only being a week out. I still have time if I need to go back and touch up some areas, and I probably would need to do that. So just kind of when thinking about it, I think I'm in a really good place. I'm really happy with the result thus far. Probably would be a little bit happier if there wasn't as much Bermuda in the actual turf, but that's going to slow down. I think this week we're going to be in the 70s, so the Bermuda is really not going to be growing at the level it is. But let me kind of show you guys again. So as you guys can see here, you know, I got a lot of perennial rye kind of peeking through. Even where there's Bermuda, it might be kind of hard to tell, but there is perennial rye kind of peeking up through. So I think I was able to get down into the canopy. Tree right there is starting to really green up where I haven't had grass in so long. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the actual result. Now, one thing you guys might be wondering is, Dwayne, what type of fertilizer are you going to use? You know, I talked about this in my last video. I'm actually going to hold off on fertilizer right now for the backyard. And the reason why is not because of what I talked about in my first video when it came to the front lawn with not wanting to pound too much nitrogen. Curious, well, Dwayne, why don't you throw some fertilizer down? I'm purposely not using fertilizer because of the fact that the Bermuda can still actually come back right now. Temperatures will drop off very shortly, so it's definitely going to slow down. However, I do not want to push a ton of Bermuda growth, which can easily choke out the seed. So that's why I'm going to wait, and I'll probably throw down a fertilizer in the next couple weeks. But I showed you guys just kind of what it started to look like on my front lawn, but now let me show you guys what the front lawn looks like, because it's definitely a big difference. All right, guys, so you may remember this part of the lawn that I had last year that I overseeded with perennial rye. It died off, but this year what I want to do is I want to build up the soil to a higher level to be more on par with the concrete. So that way it'll just be a little bit easier if I choose to real mow it. But I'm also thinking maybe, just maybe I'll try a different grass type and actually go with maybe something like a fescue just to see how it'll do here. Now, I haven't quite decided, but either way, this will be grass in the next couple weeks. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look here at the front lawn. So as you guys can see, it is absolutely looking great. Now, again, I still have some bare areas underneath the tree there. You know, I think those are the areas that I tend to get a little more washout. But it is definitely looking a lot greener than it did a few days ago. So it's really starting to take off. Now, one of the things I probably will do is I'll probably throw down some PGF Complete. Now, kind of along the edges here, still hasn't sprouted up as much as the rest of the lawn. But there are a couple bare areas, as you guys can see. Throw down some more perennial rye, and I gotta tell you, on camera, it's just not doing justice. It's absolutely looking great. Probably another week or so, I'll be out here mowing. All right, guys, so I just want to kind of step over here into the shade and kind of talk to you guys for a minute about this overseeding project and why I chose to do it. You know, I talked about this in my last video, but one of the main reasons was because of the fact that I wanted to continue to put out good content. Now, one of the things I just love about the followers, and thank you to all my subscribers and all my viewers and all my followers, I'm sure you guys would respect whatever decision I make. Meaning, if I chose to take the season off, I don't think I'd lose subscribers. I think you guys will still stick with me and just kind of wait to the next growing season before you start to see more episodes of Dwayne's World, which would totally be okay. But I didn't want to do that. I definitely love putting content out there for you guys, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. So like I said, the number one reason why I am going to be doing this overseeding is to be able to create more content by far for you guys. Absolutely, number one. But there's a number two reason. And the number two reason kind of goes hand in hand with the new content. Because of the fact that I'm doing this overseeding, I am going to be out here mowing during the winter months. And I don't mind it. In Southern California here, it really doesn't get that cold where you can't come out and mow your lawn. They may have a couple of rainy days or wet days, but for the most part, I think it's going to be great. Now, I may not be mowing as much as I mow in the middle of the summer, but now if I'm going to be mowing more often, that might mean I need another mower. Yes, another mower. And what mower am I talking about? The Real Rollers Revolution 26. That's right. It's official. Dwayne's World has placed the order for the Revolution 26, and I cannot wait to see what type of stripe action, what type of quality of cut I get using the Revolution 26 on my lawn here. So I'm very, very excited about that. Now, one of the things with that being said, Yes, my plan is to feature more contents. We're going to do an unboxing. We're going to do a review. We're going to do a comparison. We're going to do it all right? I've actually been talking to Lee over at Real Rollers just to kind of pick his brain on what type of content he'd like to see. Now, again, I'm very excited to be able to share with all you guys the Revolution 26. It's on its way to Southern California. It might be a long ride, but it's going to get here, and I'm very, very excited. All right, so with that, I want to thank all you guys for just your awesome support. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I think now is more of a time than ever for you to be able to see some great upcoming content. So make sure to hit that subscribe, give me a comment down below, and absolutely like this video. And as always, be excellent and party on.